It's the Unhappy Hour.
Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, California, Los Angeles, but remembering my Cleveland, Ohio roots today. Hello everybody and welcome to the Happy Hour. Yeah, we're actually going to change the name. It's going to be the Happy Hour today. Why is it the Happy Hour? LeBron James has decided to come home to play for the Cleveland Cavaliers. What a story. Real quick, if you haven't checked out our homepage, thenewamericanmedia.com, do so. On the bottom right, you can click on our Facebook page and like us there, or you can do a search on your own on Facebook, The New American Media, with spaces in between and like the page. Bottom right of our homepage, thenewamericanmedia.com, is also our Twitter feed, which is at American_media_. So please make sure that you're following us there. And why don't you subscribe along with the, 1,700 other subscribers and 330,000 video views at youtube.com/thenewamericanmedia. We have been having amazing Cleveland Cavaliers and LeBron James coverage with NBA scout Zak Baris over the past 2 years specifically, and our last two shows were titled, was one called Will LeBron End His Rumspringa and Return Home? I think that was just a bullet point underneath another one. Maybe that one was called Will LeBron Take His Talents to Cleveland? And the other show was called Now That Kyrie Has Re-Signed, Will LeBron Play for the Cavs? So there's a lot of background to cover in all of those archives on Twitter, Facebook, our homepage, and our YouTube channel. So check all that stuff out. But for now, let's go right to the man of the hour, Tower of Power, I'll Devour. Who is that? LL Cool J? Yeah, Mama said knock you out. That's what it was. Zach, what's up, and welcome back to the Happy Hour, sir. How you doing?
Good, just watching a live shot at Sports Center with downtown Cleveland right now, so pretty cool.
Very nice, man. How are you feeling today? This has got to make you happy. We've been talking about this for a while, and there have been a lot of ups and downs over the past few months, as you know.
I feel great right now. I brought my LeBron jersey out of retirement this afternoon and so I found it in the back of my drawer a few weeks ago. And I go, maybe I'll keep this.
Well, I wonder if he's going to wear 6 or if he's going to wear 23 or something different.
He's wearing 6.
Oh, absolutely?
I'm pretty sure he's going to be wearing 6. I would be shocked if he doesn't wear 6.
Well, then again, all right. I was going to say, I just don't want to see 6 again. 6 has a bad memory, bad connotation for me.
I honestly, I don't care. As long as, LeBron's won multiple championships in the number 6, so he didn't win anything in 23. So, you know what? A number's a number to me. I don't really care.
Yeah, let's talk about this. You've read the SI article, correct?
I had tears running down my face when I was reading it. I'm not even kidding you. I literally, this has just been such a big day for the city of Cleveland. I'm not going to sit here and lie about it. I mean, honestly, it was emotional. It's just the fact that he's coming back. It's, I mean, if you're a true Cleveland sports fan, you would understand the emotions that every Clevelander's feeling today. And Brian, I know you are. I don't know how you reacted, but I mean, I was sitting there just basically saying, I was like, this is awesome. I said, this is, it's great for the city. It's a great economic impact. This is something I will never forget where I was 4 years ago, sitting in Manhattan, watching in my hotel room, watching LeBron do the decision on TV. And the best thing for me after that was leaving the country for 2 weeks. And I did that, and it almost helped me forget about it. And then I came back to my reality job where I just started my job working as a scout, 2.5 weeks late, a week after I got back. So, this is directly out of college. I was 22 years old.
Weird. We are definitely having some phone problems. Very interesting. We've actually rebooted the whole system. Well, let's try to get him back on.
Guess I lost you again there.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Maybe the NSA doesn't want us to know the truth about LeBron James. That's what's going on. The Illuminati don't like the Cavs. That's what's going on. We were talking about how after the decision you left the country for 2 weeks because, well, it was just a good decision anyway, and it really helped because that's how invested we are in trying to stop having the entire region of Cleveland and Ohio in general, the Midwest for that matter, in this country after this great recession we can't really pull out of. We're kind of tired of being the punchline to a joke, you know?
You know, it's infuriating, actually. I mean, living away from Cleveland for so long, you know, getting to come back pretty often and then seeing it, you know, how it's really taken a change for the best over the past 3 to 4 years. I mean, you go downtown anymore, there's no empty storefronts, and the ones that are, they're all being renovated right now. All the old buildings, the decrepit buildings, are being turned into condos and apartments, upscale. There's, you know, they just landed the RNC. Cleveland's no longer a big joke. And
the RNC convention in 2016 for the next president of the United States, that's a big deal.
I mean, that's a haul. I mean, Cleveland, downtown Cleveland, they've got all these new hotels opening up, apartments. I mean, you name it. I mean, it's a city on the rise. I mean, I'm on the road all the time. I'm on the road almost every week, you know, and multiple times a week. I've seen other cities. I've seen the development in other cities. Cleveland is right along there with the bigger upper echelon cities in the country right now with their development downtown and the surrounding neighborhoods. It's great. And to just see what this did for my hometown today, you know, basically it brought a lot of emotions out. It did. You know, just sitting there reading articles this afternoon and thinking to myself, I go, you know what? I could not be any happier. I really couldn't. And, you know, being a Cleveland sports fan today, you know, and just these last couple months alone has made it all worth it. You know, basically with the Browns coming back to relevancy, I know the whole Josh Gordon thing too, that's another time though, but, you know, the Browns are back in the spotlight in a good way. The Cavaliers are back in a great way. And it's just, everything's really taking a positive spin. We've had such a lowly 4 years here. You know, just between the Indians' one wild card appearance, you know, since 2007, I mean, since 2010, nothing's gone right. You know, the Cavaliers haven't been in the playoffs. The Browns haven't won more than, 5 games in a season. And the Indians have had, you know, when I was there last year, and the Indians, I watched them lose in the wild card game against Tampa.
Yeah, the wild card game, it's not even a series. It's a one-game playoff, and it's like, this didn't even count. This is horrible.
And I devoted a lot of my time to the Indians last year, like I still do this year. I love the Tribe, and I love all my Cleveland sports teams equally. You know, sometimes I might just, you know, since there are only 16 Browns games a year, I tend to really focus on the Browns, though. You know, that's just how I am. But I still love all my Cleveland teams, still watch them all the time. And
no, and I'm the guy that's in a different place, and I go to the Dodgers-Indians game so I can root with my friends for the Indians.
Exactly, and I mean, I've done that too.
You know?
And just being there, I mean, I've seen the Indians in Chicago. I mean, I watched them in Wrigley a few years ago. It was, you know, seeing them at U.S. Cellular Field multiple times, and it's just being all over the place. It's just thinking to myself now just how awesome it is to have him, you know, back in Cleveland. You know, this is literally, the national media has taken a huge dump on Cleveland for the past 4 years.
How about since Tim McCarver never doing anything but calling it the mistake by the lake back in '95 and '97? You know,
I mean, he can suck it for all I care. I really
here.
don't care. And it's you know, watching the other night, Stephen A. Smith. This is Sunday night after Gilbert. And by the way, give all the credit right now to Joe Lowell, who called this thing from 92.3 The Fan.
Who are we giving
Joe
credit?
Lowell. He's the one who called this the other night that Gilbert's plane was taking off from Pontiac, Michigan.
Wait, give me the spelling. I want to make sure I have it right.
Last name Lull.
And it's Joe or Joel?
Joe.
Okay, so Joe Lowell. That's a tough name to say.
So last week he had tweeted in the afternoon at about 2:00 that Dan Gilbert's plane was set to take off from Pontiac, Michigan, down to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and he tweeted it. Gilbert tweeted him back, saying, "I'm in my backyard, like enjoying the sun."
Yeah. I remember that.
So, and Joe Lowell was the first one to it. I mean, I think it's ridiculous that he's not getting credit by the national media. But,
no, that's why I want to make sure he gets his credit, because I remember that tweet, and then they said, Gilbert's not on it, Zadrunas is on it. Or what's going on here?
And Gilbert was on the plane. I mean, I didn't know that. And Gilbert was there. They went to go mend the I said I didn't know that. And they went to go mend the fences. And LeBron apparently had made up his mind on Wednesday, from what I understand, had made up his mind on how to go about it. and had asked what to do, in making the decision the best for him.
Okay, so Gilbert was lying. He was on that plane.
Gilbert was on that plane. Yeah.
Nice move. Take that, Pat Riley, you little punk. Come in and break up our marriage 4 years ago. Whatever. Get out of here, Riley.
Like I said, this is the best day for the city of Cleveland in a long time, sports-wise. Like I said, in April, they had possibly the best draft you can have. You got the quarterback you wanted. You got the cornerback you wanted. And you also, you literally, I don't even want to say you robbed Buffalo. I mean, granted, they got a great player in Sammy Watkins, but Cleveland just basically stole a top 10 pick from them next year. So, everything just seems to be, and the Indians are sitting there around 500.
Right at 500.
Like I said, that's another story.
But that's their thing, though. If the Cavs can or if the Indians can just stay around 500 at the beginning of the year, they get hot after the All-Star. It's just kind of what they do.
I mean, like I said, we've been talking about this now for about a year and a half now, saying last year was Miami's last window to win a title. Turns out I was right. And I said this year I really didn't think they could win. I would be really surprised if they did. And I said, if LeBron doesn't win, I remember when I told you this the day after the finals, I said, book him back to Cleveland. I said, book him on the next flight back to Cleveland. I said, he's coming back. I said, I just cannot see him going back to Miami. Their title window is closed. I go, and especially Josh McRoberts, I don't think is the answer, and I don't think Danny Granger. The 2011 Indiana Pacers, by adding them to the Miami Heat roster, was not going to win them a championship. If it was Danny Granger from 3 or 4 years ago, fine. Danny Granger was an all-star at that point. But Danny Granger is a shell of his former self. Shabazz Napier, I love when Brian Windhurst tweets on draft night, when Miami got Shabazz Napier, that Brian Windhurst goes, oh, that was the key to re-signing LeBron. I go, and at that point I go, if Shabazz Napier is the key to re-signing LeBron, a team that 23 other teams passed on, was the key to re-signing LeBron, LeBron was never leaving in the first place.
You were so right on that. You're so right on that because that move bothered me. That was like the only decent thing, the only best case situation that the Heat could have had was to make that happen. And
I told you at the time.
And you said it at the time. You're like, shut up. That is not a key to anything. Whatever. If he stayed for that, he was never leaving.
Like I said, having experience in this business and staying to and looking at it and going, 23 teams passed in the sky for a reason. Shabazz Napier is a good player. Is he amazing? No. He's not the next Kemba Walker. It doesn't matter what light you put it in. I mean, if Miami was not a rookie point guard away from winning another championship, maybe from getting to another championship, that roster, like I said, almost any team with LeBron in the East, except maybe outside of Milwaukee and Philadelphia, and maybe even them too, could get to the finals with LeBron. And suddenly the Cavaliers, we've been exploring this for a while. Like I said, the only reason I didn't want to get too much into it earlier was because he still wasn't back yet. Now that he is, we've got a lot to talk about. And looking at it, now you can sit there and say the Cavaliers have Kyrie, they've got Wiggins, they've got LeBron. They've got their version of the big three right now, and they're incredibly, incredibly young.
But you're hearing the rumors. You're hearing the rumors. Tell me about the other thing first. Go ahead.
Now you're hearing the rumors now, obviously, about Kevin Love.
That's where I was going.
Apparently, the Cavaliers. I've been saying this for a while. I don't think, judging from what I've seen of Andrew Wiggins, and like I said, I brought this on you on this show a few years ago, right after the Nike Hoop Summit, after I had been in Portland.
Yes,
I brought this on the air to you at the time.
And I talked about it. I did a show earlier today with Brandon, a guy, Brandon Odell from college. I used to do radio with him and for a little bit on a show called Strictly Browns here at the New American Media, and also my dad. So we did a first show, and I think on that first show I referenced that you have been high on Andrew Wiggins since you saw him at the Nike Hoop Summit. I think I said that word for word.
I remember bringing his name up a few years ago, and I even stated last year the Cavaliers won the lottery in the wrong year. Last year when they won with Bennett. Well, thank you to a couple of ping pong balls, yes. I think that had a lot to do with LeBron's return.
Absolutely. LeBron's not gonna wear his nice suit and look fatherly with his ring and talk about why he's returning to the Cleveland Cavaliers as a 4-time NBA MVP. He's not doing that if the ping pong balls don't go that way. If the Cavs don't have a bet. They needed all of those bounces to go the right way after so many of Michael Jordan's shots going in the wrong way for us. No way LeBron comes home if our team is not as young and talented as it is, which it is.
No, if they would have had the 9th pick in the draft and landed Noah Vonleh over there, I can tell you right now, I don't even think we'd be speaking on the subject. Because
I agree.
The Cavs have to tear apart that roster without Andrew Wiggins. So you'd be looking at trading the 9th pick, probably Waiters and Bennett, and a bunch of future picks to go out and get LeBron. And the Cavaliers would be there with LeBron, to go out and get Love.
Yeah, and
that would be a great trade, but you have no other assets. You have no other movable assets at that point.
Yeah, we have 3 first-round picks next year, the Cavs do. And we have Anthony Bennett, who's now getting in shape, who's now coming off his shoulder surgery. Now he's been in the league for a year. He hasn't been playing basketball his entire life. He's kind of new to this. Isn't that the case with Anthony Bennett? He hasn't been playing since 5?
I believe that Bennett will come along. I think he'll have I think he can do big things in Cleveland.
And Tristan could have a big season in Cleveland. Anybody with LeBron could.
The question is today, will Bennett be in a Cleveland Cavalier uniform to start the season?
Right.
I'm one of those people who now I don't think he will be.
But let me ask you about this. In the article, and I want to read the article and get your reaction paragraph by paragraph, because I think this article in SI, what LeBron put together here, this is an amazing piece of writing. And yes,
and I have to give credit to SI again for not blowing the whistle on anything. Lee Jenkins, who I follow on Twitter, did not tweet anything this week. Did not tip his hand. Nothing. Went completely under the radar. They didn't have Wojnarowski. They didn't have Wojnarowski tweet anything. All these guys, he kept it so well under wraps. Wojnarowski, no. You had Chris Broussard, didn't know. You had, him involving race in the thing. And it's despicable. ESPN looks like morons today. With Colin Cowherd this morning saying the reason LeBron wasn't coming back was because of the letter. These guys were just speculating because LeBron hadn't announced anything. They weren't talking any sources. It was all pure speculation. That's not journalism.
I woke up to that because I'm out here on the West Coast. You guys have an extra 3 hours on me before your days start, in general. And people, the letter is keeping, like what, from from a link that went dormant that was just kind of sitting there in cyberspace with no, that's my understanding. Wasn't that the case with the letter, that it wasn't even it wasn't featured there? It was just sitting on the website somewhere?
Yeah, it was, and it's talking about having Colin Cowherd bring race in the fact that he wasn't coming back. It's a joke. Dan Gilbert's not a racist. Like I said earlier, when Gilbert wrote that letter,
I didn't even really catch that.
When Gilbert wrote that scathing letter 4 years ago, almost to the day, when he wrote that, I will remember that from the rest of my life. I remember exactly where I was reading that thing after being so down about the Cavs that night, and just hearing that letter made me feel so much better. And
I loved it.
Like I said, both of them handled the situation the wrong way. Both of them did. Dan acted in a manner where he went out there and he did something. He won his fan base over by doing that. He was able to have a pitiful 4 years, and I'm not saying it's all his fault. Chris Grant made some bad moves, but when I say this about Dan Gilbert, and I'm going to say this as nice as I can because I think it's a good thing. Gilbert has been I think he's been very involved in the front office and everything over the past couple of years. But
Jerry Jones syndrome, you mean?
Chris Grant, I was I did not understand when they fired Chris Grant during the season. I understood why they fired Chris Grant. The timing just made no sense to me. And because they didn't fire Mike Brown along with him. But everything Gilbert's done this offseason, he's done it right. And by getting rid of Chris Grant, looking back on it, getting rid of Chris Grant at the time he did, to allow David Griffin to step in there because he didn't want Chris Grant having any more screw-ups. Okay? So he made the right move there, it turns out. Firing Mike Brown, anybody could have told you that was the right decision. And hiring Dave Blatt, he hit a grand slam.
And why is that? Why is it a grand slam, David Blatt?
Here's the deal with David Blatt. He's a guy who's had nothing but success over his entire career. He's a fresh face.
Kind of like LeBron.
He's not a retread in the NBA. He's not your Mike Dunleavy or your Rick Edelman.
George Karl.
He's not. He's not a retread. He's a guy who's a fresh face over. He's going to bring a unique style of his game over. And trust me, the guy can coach. I said that the night they hired him. The guy can coach. I love the hiring from the start. Either way, I thought he was a great fit for Kyrie. I really did. And now you're going to watch the Cavs with a lot of, they have a lot of young talent, a lot of enthusiasm. I think Kyrie, I think you're going to see a totally different player out of Kyrie Irving this season.
Yeah,
I think you're going to see someone who's motivated and really take it to the next level. I really believe that.
I think Kyrie has been beaten down the way Kevin Love has.
Yeah, I agree completely. I mean, I watched games last year where Kyrie was lackadaisical. He wasn't, he was dribbling the ball almost above his head. And I was like, this just seemed like a guy who didn't care. He was on a crappy team, and it was tough. And no matter what he did, they would still be a crappy team. But looking at the way everything played out, it all worked out. It really all worked out for the Cavaliers because they, now, I mean, I would have been furious just as a Clevelander waking up this morning, seeing him sign with the Miami Heat after the Cavaliers traded Karasev. They traded, I don't care about Cherachek, but Tyler Zeller, another young asset, and another first-round pick. That would have been 3 first-rounders just to get Jarrett Jack and clear cap space for nothing. And Parsons is off the market. You had Gordon Hayward off the market. And I think the biggest losers in free agency so far today are the Houston Rockets and the Miami Heat. Obviously, the Miami Heat are number 1. But the Rockets are just 1A because they lost out on Chris Bosh. With Chris Bosh re-upping to a 5-year deal in Miami is huge for the Western Conference. It keeps San Antonio as the guaranteed front-runner in that conference right now. And depending on what Pau Gasol does later today or tomorrow, like I said, it's Oklahoma City, Chicago, New York, and San Antonio, and even the Lakers. But I don't think he re-signs with the Lakers.
So let me hold on. The Bosh deal, max deal with the Heat, that was pretty quick that he wanted to stay there. So that means
5 years, 118 mil.
Okay, and is that so? Now, what does Dwayne Wade do? He's never
Dwayne
going
Wade?
anywhere?
The Miami Heat will offer Dwayne Wade a max deal and keep him. I believe over 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
And
so what are the Heat doing then? Because we own their first-round pick, being a Cavs fan.
Miami will bring in Luol Deng or Trevor Ariza. I think that's good enough to get them into the 7th or 8th in the East, maybe even the 6th. Boy, but how much would you love to see a first-round series between Cleveland and Miami next year?
Oh, boy.
I would love to see the Heat in the 8th seed.
I was hoping, yeah.
I would love to see them just blow them out. I would love that. And nothing would make me happier than to see a Cleveland-Miami series in the first round.
But wouldn't that be a really good team, though, with Chris Bosh, with Dwayne Wade, with...
No. LeBron was the key to that team. Like I said,
we all know that, but there's still...
We know that. It's known. You drop LeBron off that roster. LeBron's WAR is wins above replacement player was almost 21. You drop 21 wins from the Heat team that won 54 games last year. They're a 33-win team. You add Trevor Ariza, you're about a 40-win team.
Okay, so what number draft pick are the Cavs going to get from the Heat next year then?
I would say it's going to be somewhere in that late lottery or early to mid-teens.
That's really interesting.
I think it's going to be anywhere from maybe 11 to 17, 11 to 16. That's my guess. I mean, they're not going to be an elite team in the East. They're going to win some games. And I think a lot depends on Dwayne Wade's health. When Dwayne Wade's healthy, they're going to win some games. When Dwayne Wade isn't playing and they're not, they don't have LeBron anymore. LeBron ran that offense. LeBron was essentially the starting small forward and the starting point guard for that team. He took on 2 roles. Mario Chalmers and Norris Cole are not going to get it done. Miami does not have a true point guard on the roster with any NBA experience.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, they drafted him, but, yeah.
They do not have a guy they don't have a Kyrie Irving. They don't have a Jeff Teague even. Well, Jeff Teague's a great player, but they don't have a true point guard that can go out there and score, distribute the ball. Miami is used to LeBron. This will allow Kyrie Irving to play off the ball more, too. This is a huge, huge coup for the Cavaliers. And just the fact that helping them mature their young... And like LeBron said in that letter, it is going to be tough for them with their current roster as structured to win the NBA title. I'm not saying they're the favorites to win the NBA title. I'm putting the Spurs in that position right now.
But won't LeBron be able to play off the ball even more, too?
Oh, yeah. It'll allow LeBron to play off the ball.
For the first time in his career with a badass point guard? First time in his career.
I'm dying to see this. And even Wiggins.
He's going to be a totally different player.
This also allows LeBron, too, to not have to go and guard the best player defensively. I mean, to defensively go and guard the best player on each team.
That's what Wiggins is there for. Exactly.
and I don't think the Cavaliers will trade Wiggins for anything at this point.
That would make me
really
sick. And I don't want to rent Love, and he says he's going to sign here.
They're not
and then
going to rent Love. I'm telling you, if they get Love, they will have a commitment from him that he will resign.
What does a commitment mean? I heard that from Carlos Boozer. That probably prevented LeBron's first title in Cleveland.
I'm telling you right now, that Cavaliers team would be so filthy. There's nowhere else he could even go and justify it. I'm telling you. That would be, because don't forget, the Cavaliers would be able to offer more money than any other team, too. Don't forget that. Don't forget it. And just also at this point right now, I believe Chris Bosh is the highest paid player in the NBA. Stuck on that for a minute.
Okay, I don't even know where to go with that. I don't even know where to go.
Just wanted to throw that out there. Doing the math, I believe he might even be making more than Kobe Bryant.
Okay,
So,
okay. You know what?
Chris Bosh is the highest paid player in the NBA.
Okay, I'm going to need a minute to process that. We're talking with NBA scout Zak Baris. Follow him on Twitter. He's at ZBARIS. Zach, I have a hunch we're going to do quite a bit of a show today. We have a couple other angles to go through, and I really want to kind of go through, pick this this letter on SI.com and Sports Illustrated where LeBron announced that he is returning to the Cleveland Cavaliers and back home for not just basketball reasons. There's a lot more to it, and as Zach said, he was tearing up reading it. I've had the exact same emotion multiple times, watching different parts on ESPN, reading different parts of this story. This is bigger than basketball, and very few people understand that better than a Cleveland sports fan who hasn't celebrated any championship in baseball, basketball, or football since 1964. I was born in 1979. That's 35 years times 3 sports, so that's what, 105 combined seasons without a title? That's insane. The law of statistics, at some point, the Browns or the Indians or the Cavs are going to win a championship, and this just really increased the chances that it happens sooner rather than later. So this is a big deal. So I want to talk about these things for a second, Zach. We never take breaks on the show, but I'm going to take like a 60-second break now if you want to grab something to drink or whatever. The mic's going to be hot, but I'm going to play these commercials, and we'll be right back here in about 60 seconds here on the TNAM Radio Network here at the New American Media.
It's the Unhappy Hour.
Agree to disagree. Yeah, it's a radio show we have on thenewamericanmedia.com every single Friday at 4:30 p.m. Pacific. Join the show. What do we talk about? Politics, religion, and spirituality. Basically anything you're not supposed to talk about in a bar. You're not supposed to have these conversations inside of a bar, but we have them every single Friday at 4:30 p.m. Pacific on thenewamericanmedia.com. Join the show, offer your opinion, and let's agree to disagree, but let's have a good conversation. Hi, Brian from thenewamericanmedia.com. I had an idea to put a website together, and I just didn't know how to make it happen. I contacted my good friend Ted Distel of DistelDesign.com. He walked me through the process of what I wanted it to look like, the functionality of what I needed, how to integrate radio. We made it all happen. Go to thenewamericanmedia.com and take a look at what Ted Distel is capable of. If you want to start a website of your own, go to DistelDesign.com. That's DISTEL Design.com.
All right, we are back, everybody. This is the Happy Hour, and my name's Brian Engelman. Thank you very much for joining us on this wonderful day. The Cavs have brought back the best player in the league, LeBron James. He has decided to take his talents to the shores of Lake Erie, and I'm pleased to be joined with NBA scout and lifelong Cleveland sports fan Zak Baris. Zach has been a part of our show for a better part of 2-3 years now on the Unhappy Hour. Today it's called the Happy Hour. Make sure you're following Zach. He's at Z Baris. That's Z-B-A-R-I-S. This is all going to be moot, maybe even by the time we post this show to the archives. But Chris Bosh, Miami Heat reach a deal. Could Carmelo go join him down there in Miami?
I doubt it. Let him go down. The Cavaliers are still going to beat him, so who cares?
So a team with Carmelo and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh.
They only won 54 games a year ago, and I even think of this year. I mean, LeBron's a far superior player to Melo. The team's a 48-win team, maybe.
It's going to happen real fast. Houston traded Jeremy Lin. So
that was, oh my God. I mean, Chris Bosh really, really, and this is the first time, though, in 3 years where Daryl Morey hasn't come out on top. You know, he stole James Harden from Oklahoma City, and literally, I mean, just stole him. And, I mean, he traded nothing to get him. Within the, I mean, Oklahoma City looks so stupid for doing that. And he won Dwight Howard last year. Cleared all this space, got Dwight Howard, and the guy looks like a genius. He is, though. He is. I'm shocked Chris Bosh didn't take that offer. But at the same time, I'm also surprised Miami didn't work out a sign and trade with Bosh. But, Riley's vision is, I don't know what Pat Riley's vision is anymore. But I can tell you, Miami, get Trevor Ariza or Luol Deng. Yeah, you're still going to be a borderline playoff team, maybe even 6, 7, or 8 seed. But like I said, you're not going anywhere. You're not going to be winning any championships. You're not getting past Chicago. You're not getting past Cleveland. And a lot depends on what Indiana does. If Indiana loses Lance Stevenson, they put Roy Hibbert on the block. I mean, that could look like a completely different team next year. They still do have Paul George, so I'll give them that.
And boy, did I hear a Paul George story on the radio out here. Whew. Paul George and Dwayne Wade both. Stuff off the court. I don't even know. I'd have to look into it more. I don't even know if it's.
I haven't heard anything about any of that, so I don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh, well then maybe I shouldn't even repeat it. But yeah, I'm trying to think what show it was. Yeah, it was one of the Los Angeles sports shows. I don't know if it was ESPN. Anyway, about very similar problems that Dwayne Wade and Paul George have had off the court. In the past year.
Was it? Okay. I think I know what this is. I think it has to do with the unwed mother.
There'd be multiple children. Yeah,
that's been known. I haven't talked much about it, but yeah, that's been known. Yeah, I've heard about the whole Paul George thing and the Dwayne Wade one. And getting back to the Cavaliers though, with their roster.
But that hold on. With their roster, that's what I was getting at though, is that the person that brought this story up also said that LeBron questioned Dwayne Wade's focus. Anyway, so back to the Cavs roster. That's kind of why I was thinking about that, is that LeBron looked around and said, I don't know if you guys are really on board in it to win it. Like, look what you're doing out here. So anyway, talk about the Cavs roster.
I mean, looking at the Cavs roster right now, they've got to find a third team in this deal right now in order to take on something, in order to get Kevin Love back. And I can tell you right now, if you do get Kevin Love in the deal without giving up Wiggins, within 2 years, 3 years from now, you might be looking at 4 of the top 7 or 8 players in the NBA if Wiggins can turn out like he should be. If he pans out. I mean, you're looking at a roster that will be filled with a ridiculous amount of talent. And don't forget, this is a team that I still think is going to wind up. I think they're the favorites for Ray Allen at this point. And
I think so. Yeah, I think so too. And they could get him for only a couple mil, right?
Yeah, get them both in there. Boom. Cavaliers are short. Now the issue is still his backup point guard. I do like Dellavedova a lot. I really like what he was able to do last year.
Yeah, he played some ball.
The thing is with him is he's a strong defender and he can play off the ball now if LeBron's in the game. That's the biggest thing with the backup right there with Dellavedova, because they do not have Jarrett Jack anymore. And I'm glad.
Yeah, you never liked Jack.
But the thing is, if you go out there and Dellavedova, he's a hustler. The guy plays hard defense. He could be a nice fit with the backup roster. With the backups, with the second team. And I think the Cavaliers, you get Kevin Love, all your pieces are in place for next year to go out there and just dominate not only the East, but to be able to dominate the West. And you're looking at Kyrie Irving will be 22. Andrew Wiggins will be 20.
That is insane to think. Really? Hold on. Kyrie is 22? Just to remember this.
Yeah.
And Wiggins is how old?
Yeah. Andrew Wiggins is 19.
And LeBron is the elder statesman at 31.
29. He's 20. He's 29.
Oh, sorry. What is Dwayne Wade 32, Bosh 30,
yeah.
And LeBron 29?
Yes, 29. All
right.
Okay? And Kevin Love is 25. You're looking at a team that wouldn't just dominate the East for a year or two. You're looking at a team that's built on long-term sustained success.
With young talent and old veteran leadership.
It's a team that everyone around the league is either going to love them or they're going to hate them. Walking in there with that roster, to even think it was possible the day the Cavs season ended was basically an afterthought. Like I said, I've been bringing it up for months because I see the picture. I can see the picture. You know, I like I told you before, I would have been shocked if LeBron went anywhere else other than Cleveland and Miami. Shocked.
And that's essentially what he said in his article that I want to get to here. He said he pretty much did narrow it down to those two. By the way, I want to get your thoughts real quick. Nick Young going back to the Lakers, $21.5 million.
I don't know what the Lakers are doing. How much did they sign him for?
So they got him for 4 years. Fourth year is a player option, so it's 4 years, $21.5.
That's basically the mid-level. I mean, that's about what Nick Young's worth. But they just signed Jordan. I saw that they had signed him. I didn't see what the terms were as of yet. I'm not next to my computer right now.
Yeah, you actually broke the news about Chris Bosh. I'm trying to get the show running and producing, getting all the technology going, and I didn't even know that Bosh had agreed, so I had to click on it.
It hadn't been reported yet. I knew he rejected Houston's offer, and I'd been hearing last night about Max deal from Miami if LeBron left. So I figured if he wasn't going to Houston, it had to be Miami. So I had gotten the contract right then. I don't know if anybody had supported it. I'm not taking credit for breaking it. That's what I knew at that point when he wasn't going to Houston. I said, okay, he's returned to Miami on a 5-year, $118 million deal. So
okay.
I knew it right then. I did not, like I said, I didn't have any inside sources. I knew it was coming as soon as he rejected Houston's offer. And I'd been hearing that for the last couple of hours. And I think, like I said, that would have teetered the powers in the West.
Pause. Hold on. Do me a favor, Zach. Pause on Powers of the West. I don't know if it's something glitchy with the ESPN website, but now your phone went glitchy when I switched over from one page off the Nick Young back to the home page. Let me call you back one more time, try to reestablish that connection here. It's kind of strange, the odd connection that we've had, but we'll see if we can get this worked out. Hey.
Hi. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you much better now. Like I said, maybe it's something with the ESPN website when you switch from one page to the home page. Every banner, every pop-up is running in the background, slowing your computer down, weirding it out. And sometimes programs don't play well together, so let's hope that's what that was.
Right, you don't have to lie. It's obviously not ESPN. I mean, if you're really just on porn during the show, you can just tell us.
On a day like this, what's the difference? I'm telling you, this day feels good. I have been 95% certain for weeks, but I'm not gonna pretend that the ups and downs of the Dwayne Wade shows up at the camp, then they fly back together, and another meeting with the Heat, and that's the only meeting he's taken. Why didn't he meet with the Cavs? I was up and down on that, but yeah, let me ask you, why didn't he meet with the Cavs? Or he did, and that was
he
just
did.
Yeah,
that was Dan Gilbert. I would call that the Cavs.
Yeah, I would
he
too.
Is the Cavs.
And that's the answer to that question.
It
Why
just
did he
went
meet?
under the radar. It went under the radar. Nobody, a couple people called it, but the problem was it came from a local Cleveland radio station, 92.3 The Fan, CBS Sports Talk. But the problem is none of those guys from CBS were nationally known. Joe Lowell wasn't. And you had a bunch of local Clevelanders who were somehow tied in the inner circles. One, a friend of a friend of a friend was tied into a circle. And Joe Lowell got information which was 100% accurate, tweeted it out, and no one picked up from it on the national media, unfortunately. Because
maybe it's not unfortunate. Maybe it's not unfortunate. Maybe if the national media grabbed it, the Heat would have played their cards differently and everything would have played out differently.
I mean, like I said at this point, when LeBron, now it turns out that when LeBron met with Pat Riley, I think he had already had his decision made.
I think so too.
And I think he let them give their pitch, but he had a decision made.
And I'll tell you what, this article leads me to believe that he had his decision made. LeBron didn't just scribble this on the back of a napkin on his way back. Here, I want to go through this with you because I had the same feeling you had. This made me sentimental to think about what it means to be home and around family and what it means to be from the Midwest and living out in a place like L.A. where they laugh at the flyover states. And it's just a matter of what is important in life. So there's no way LeBron scribbled this in his limo ride from one meeting to the airport. Like, this took some time to write because I think it's fantastic. I want to go through this with you if you don't mind.
Well, we'll do that in a little bit. I want to stay where we are right now, and then we'll get to the letter. But I mean, this is at the point now where the Cavaliers are looking at a roster that can conceivably have Kevin Love, Ray Allen, and Mike Miller in the next couple of days. And with this roster, they're going to go out and they're literally going to punish teams. You're going to see them. You're going to see them literally pulverizing teams like Milwaukee and Philly. Literally, it could be 30 or 40-point leads at halftime. I mean, these are big boys against the small fishes now.
But don't the Timberwolves think that they have power now? Almost like the Cavs have to do.
Think they have all. Here's the thing: is they really don't have any power.
But they think that they do. They think that they do. And people are saying Wiggins. Think all he wants.
But every day that ticks by, that Kevin Love is still on that roster, means they've got one less day of Kevin Love. Think about that for a second. Remember what happened to Cleveland in 2010. Flip Saunders is no stranger to that. He's seen it. Flip Saunders is a Clevelander. He's seen it happen before. You've watched it happen with Toronto in 2010 when they lost Bosch for nothing. These guys are going to walk. He said he's walking. The only smart team out there, two smart teams. New Orleans went and traded Chris Paul while they still had him, while they could trade him, with a year and a half left on it, with a couple of years left on his, with a year and a half left on his deal. They went there and dealt Chris Paul. They made a move in order to restructure their franchise because they knew it needed to be done. Otherwise, they were going to lose him for nothing. Same with Denver. Denver got a coup for Carmelo Anthony, and they were a better team without Carmelo. The thing is, I don't think you can acquire anyone to be as good as you were with Kevin Love. But the thing is, they've gone 6 years of not being a playoff team. I think it's time to restructure that organization, with or without Kevin Love. Kevin Love, no matter what happens this season, Minnesota's not winning 60 games and going to the championship. If it happens, Kevin Love will probably resign there if it happens. But I can tell you, I'm willing to bet my life on it, that Minnesota is not going to the title this year. They'll be lucky to be the 8th seed playoff team. That Western Conference is, that is a tough conference. Phoenix, who won 48 games this year, didn't even make the playoffs.
And the Timberwolves weren't bad either.
No. The thing is, the Timberwolves had some ridiculous amount of record losses by 1 point
That's
last
right,
year.
yeah.
But still, they don't have a guy who...
my concern is this, Zach. I've been hearing too much Wiggins out there. And obviously...
The Cavaliers will not trade Andrew Wiggins.
I understand that.
I'm almost willing to guarantee that. They will be able to get some kind of deal done, whether it's Kevin Love or someone else. There are plenty of other attractive
Who else is there? Who else is there? Because we know the Kevin Love...
guys. There's Paul Millsap. There's Al Horford. There are plenty of attractive names out there that teams will be looking to deal. There are plenty of names out there.
So now the Cavs have to talk to both of them.
If I wanted to go and break down every single roster, I could.
Well, hold on. Let's just start with these two real quick. If Paul Millsap and Al Horford are out there, David Griffin will go out and he'll talk with both of them and say, "Look, we have 3 first-round picks next year. We'll give you one of them, not the top one, but one, either the middle one."
The Cavaliers gave theirs up. Cleveland gave their pick up already in that Jarrett Jack deal.
Oh, which one? Which one did we get rid of? Because we have 3.
They got rid of their own.
Our own.
They got rid of their own. Yes.
Okay, and we still have the Memphis Grizzlies pick, and we have the Miami Heat pick.
Miami, yeah, and you got the Heatles.
Okay. So
the Cavaliers are still stocked with picks though for the future. I believe they own another one of Miami's picks too, if I'm not mistaken.
That's incredible. Now with that, they could go out to Paul Millsap, they could go to Al Horford, or they could go to their teams and their agents and just say, "Listen, we want to bring you in here to be a part of this nucleus. We're willing to, some combination of Dion Waiters, Anthony Bennett, a first-round pick next year, maybe both of them," and say, "Hey, maybe straight up, let's get Paul Millsap and a first-round pick."
I think it'd be more likely to get Al Horford, and I do.
Well, whatever.
Although I think Millsap's still, because Millsap has 1 year left on his deal at $7 million. Millsap's going to be in for a big-time contract. Next contract. He's in for a big-time one. Gilbert has no problem paying that luxury tax. You can retain Paul Millsap if he comes to Cleveland. That's a big issue. And
so how does that work? How does that work with the salary cap then? It's that you can pay more if a player's already on your roster?
It's the way it. I have a feeling with Cleveland, if Miami goes out and gets Luol Deng, the Cavaliers will work out some sign and trade with Miami that will involve Luol Deng for LeBron in order to max out LeBron at 5 years. Now I'm just speculating here that if they wind up with Luol Deng, so essentially the Cavaliers would have traded Luol Deng for LeBron.
So essentially that helps the Heat organization and that helps the Cavs organization.
Yeah, the Cavaliers might not have to give a pick to do it. Miami might want to do it so they get that trade exception in there, and Cleveland will want to do it because, there's a whole bunch of reasons why they would want to do that.
Okay,
but
okay. But what I'm saying then is that Paul Millsap or Al Horford, we need to get on the phone right now and start dropping those stories and dropping those hints so that it scrolls around the bottom of ESPN's ticker that the Cavs are shopping a future first-round pick for Paul Millsap, or Cavs are shopping
or Al Horford. You have to look.
Or Al Horford.
You have to look at other options. See, Kevin Love is plan A right now. But you need a backup plan, a plan B, C, D, E, F, and G.
But I think it's a negotiating plan, too, because I think Minnesota's on their high horse saying, well, they're going to give us Andrew Wiggins. Bull crap, we're giving you Andrew Wiggins. By the way, we're going to go get somebody else, and you're going to lose Kevin Love for nothing when nobody else has money to rent a player for half a year. Good luck. And then I bet you that Flip Saunders is going to change his mind, because that's the kind of poker being played right now. And you saw Kevin Love just come out and said he's intrigued by the idea and he would re-sign with the Cavs. When he says stuff like that, he limits the options to play with any other team, because they say, no, you're just going to join the Cavs next year. Oh, okay, so that dries up the market. I think this is very interesting what happens with Love in the next day or two.
Which is, I mean, I don't know if it's going to come to fruition in the next day or two. But I can tell you, my guess is it will happen before the season if they get Kevin Love. You know, I think this is one landing spot. I mean, L.A. has done nothing to go over and say, listen, Kevin, you know, they've got Jordan Hill now locked up for $9 million a year. They've got Nick Young locked up now. They're still locked up with Kobe next season. They're still going to suck a year from now. They're probably going to suck this year. I mean, I project them at 32 wins right now with their current roster if they lose Gasol.
Wow.
And like I said, it all depends. Chicago is still a huge player in the East. Chicago is the wild card right now. Chicago going to wind up with Melo? Are they going to wind up with Gasol? Are they going to wind up with Lance Stevenson? Those are their three big-time options right now.
Is there a chance Chicago gets shut out? Because now I thought Boss was going to Houston for sure, and that didn't happen.
Well, there's a chance Chicago gets shut out. I was honestly shocked Houston got shut out between Carmelo. Like I said, I know LeBron there was interest in LeBron, but that one I knew was never happening. Everyone knew that wasn't happening. Only delusional fans would think he was going to Houston. And, you know, like I said, the whole time it was always between Cleveland and Miami. There was no one else. And except for maybe the Clippers at one point.
Yeah, you definitely brought up the Clippers. I remember that.
At one point. You know, LeBron's best friend in the league is Chris Paul. So there was always that possibility too. But the Clippers were not going to give up Blake Griffin to do that. You know, and at the point where it wouldn't have been able to happen. So, and especially Donald Sterling's still the owner of that.
Right.
Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. And Sterling's still the owner of that team, like it or not. Until this whole court process plays through, he still owns that basketball team.
And how is that going to end up?
He'll wind up losing the team in court. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, it's really weird right now what's going on with the Clippers.
Steve Ballmer will be the owner of that team.
When?
God knows.
Yeah, and that's the instability of the franchise, and that's kind of what Pat Riley was saying about the Cavs, you know, in his last meeting, trying to play tough guy, and you want a headline? I'm pissed. That played so poorly. He looked so desperate doing that. I mean, he almost had to because he probably sensed it slipping away, but Pat Riley did not. He just didn't win, and they're saying that even little things like LeBron's friends and family had to sit on the other side of the arena instead of by his court, and there was a whole bunch of little things that turned into big things. You know, I don't know.
There are a lot of things. I mean, this, you know, 2010, you were looking at it and you go, okay, at least between the Knicks, the Cavaliers, the Bulls, and the Heat in 2010, one of those teams was going to get royally screwed.
Yeah, I wonder which one.
Turned out it was the Cavs.
Yep.
The Knicks still got Amari, which was a consolation prize. The Heat wound up as the biggest prize of all. Then Chicago wound up getting Boozer out of it. New York got Amari, and Cleveland got nothing.
Oops.
But
that allowed the Cavs to dump their salary, and that allowed the Cavs to start from scratch and have enough lousy years to rebuild.
It literally took 3 to 4 years, though, for the Cavaliers to get their young ass. It took 4 full years. You see how long it took to get rid of all those bad contracts, recoup, get some young draft picks, and see how rebuilding was done the right way. Even though they screwed it up with like I said, I didn't love the Waiters pick. But if they would have drafted Drummond, would they have wound up with Wiggins? We don't know.
Well, okay, that's a great point.
Completely changed.
That is a really good point.
Completely changed. No, like I said, I was never in love with the Waiters pick. I said that was a pick that could cripple the Cavaliers franchise. And if they wouldn't have gotten back LeBron, I think it still would have. Now, Deion Waiters could be put into his place with LeBron and could be a great fit. I don't know. There's no doubt Waiters has talent. But the Deion Waiters that you'd be trading, that's the problem. You're not going to get equal value in return for Deion Waiters.
Right, you wouldn't.
And that's the whole issue.
Do you see some similarities between Deion Waiters and Dwayne Wade when Dwayne Wade's healthy?
Dwayne Wade's a much better player. There's no doubt in my mind. But I've seen some games where Deion Waiters has been able to put up Wade-like numbers and have Wade. I'll never forget his rookie season against the Clippers. He was phenomenal. When he put up those 32 points in L.A., I was at the game.
And I was watching it from home. We both remember this because we both went, hey, now, look at this kid.
And I remember saying to myself, I go, okay, well, maybe I was wrong on Waiters. But at the same time, though, I don't think I'm wrong on Waiters. Like I said, I do believe the talent is there. I believe Deion has that talent.
Well, and everybody's going to behave themselves, conduct themselves, and play differently when the MVP, when a four-time MVP comes onto your team and has a couple of rings and he's at the peak of his career. I think people are going to listen. I think the whole dynamics are about to change because you have a much more mature LeBron than the Cavs had. He really did go through, like he referred to it as college. He really did grow up, LeBron. And I think even any of these players like Dion or Anthony Bennett, I think they're all going to get a heck of a lot better this year. Because we always saw it the first 7 years.
With or without LeBron, I expected Anthony Bennett to have a huge leap.
Yeah,
but
you and I
the one
both
thing
did.
that Cleveland people were freaking out over the fact that that Chandler Parsons and Gordon Hayward, that if LeBron didn't come back and was royally screwing the Cavs again, they would have no chance at it. Well, I can tell you right now, Utah and Houston fully matched both of those offers the entire time. So there was no getting Chandler Parsons and there was no getting Gordon Hayward to begin with.
Right.
Because it just wasn't happening. Houston now, really, Daryl Morey, Houston is a huge loser in free agency right now because, now they can always go after Gasol. I haven't been on my Twitter, so I haven't seen anything about Gasol signing in the last 45 minutes. So I haven't seen, maybe Gasol's already signed, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not going up to my computer to check right now. And what I've seen, though, is, if you wind up with Gasol, great. But if you don't, you essentially got rid of a $960,000 deal of Chandler Parsons this year for paying him $16 million now all of a sudden.
And,
it's a big loss for Daryl Morey because, I'll go through that whole thing later with the cap, with why they renounced, his rights basically to give him restricted free agency because you could bring his $960,000 off the books because technically he's a free agent. So then what you do is you were able to sign and then go and retain your own free agent who was restricted and go and match any offer. But instead, Dallas signed him a huge offer sheet, and now Houston's going to be stuck with that salary at $16 million. And same with Utah with Gordon Hayward.
Yeah, and something else I was thinking about is that the Cavs gave up some other assets last year. Remember, trying to go out and get Luol Deng, going out and getting Spencer Hawes.
That wasn't an asset. That Sacramento will never be picking out of the top 10 or 12 in the next couple of years anyway, so I don't think they're ever going to see that pick.
Well, there's a time where you have to cash it, isn't there?
No, it turns into a second rounder after like 4 or 5 seasons.
Oh, that's lousy. Okay.
So I think next year is the last year of the deal.
Oh, okay.
I think it's next year is the last year, so I think it's top 10 protected. But if Sacramento's not out of the top 10 next year, then that turns into a second-round pick.
Which is way less valuable. Okay,
all deals have different protections on them. Like Miami's is the first 2 years it's top 10 protected, and then 2 years and then a year later it's completely unprotected.
That's very interesting. What chance would you say? What percentage would you give that Kyrie Irving knew LeBron James was coming back before he signed his max extension?
I think he had talked with LeBron, and basically, I think it was a big. Like I said, Kyrie. When I was in New York a couple of weeks ago, I was told by a source that Kyrie was planning on signing a long-term extension, anyways. Anyway, that he decided to extend his contract. I think he had looked at it as a positive to the Cavaliers with David Griffin coming as a freshman. And by the way, Griffin should be the most beloved general manager in Cleveland right now, above Ray Farmer right now. So, and Ray Farmer's done a hell of a job with this roster this offseason with the Browns. We'll get to that later. But again, David Griffin the magician.
Ooh, Griffin the magician.
Look what he's done. He got rid of Jarrett Jack's ugly-ass contract, excuse my language, but it was. He's done every single thing right since he's been the GM. Think about that. And like I said a few weeks ago, I think it would have been very tough to envision LeBron playing with Joel Embiid on that roster. With Andrew Wiggins, it's a totally different presence. As much as I like Embiid, that injury, in my opinion, was almost a blessing in disguise for the Cavaliers. I've liked Wiggins for so long, and the fit alongside LeBron, those two just on the wing, oh my God.
It's happening. But here's something interesting. I wanted to bring this up earlier. Want to talk a little bit more about roster first, but in the article with SI, LeBron specifically mentions Kyrie, Tristan Thompson, Dion Waiters, and Anderson Varejao. He doesn't list either Anthony Bennett or Andrew Wiggins. Do you find that interesting?
Well, Thompson's one of his boys. That's the thing. Thompson's an LRMR kid. That's one. I think he likes Waiters' potential a lot. I don't think it means anything that he left Wiggins. Don't forget, Wiggins hasn't played a second in the NBA.
This is true.
He hasn't played a second in the NBA. I think he liked what he's seen out of those guys, and this roster is just, it is a young roster. Do I think they're the front runners for the championship right now? No. Do I think they'll get out of the East with no problem? Yes. Because I think Cleveland's roster with LeBron is better than Miami's roster with LeBron.
So you mean get out of the East up to the championship?
Do I think this team can beat San Antonio right now? Absolutely not.
No, to the championship game. You're saying that this team, as currently constructed, by the end of the year, because I'd say right now it's one thing, but I think after playing with David Blatt and LeBron James for a full season, you're going to get a totally different team by the end of the year. That we could beat the Nets, that we could beat the Bulls, the Knicks, the Heat, who else? Wizards.
Here's another thing too to think of. Just remember, if the Cavaliers do get Kevin Love, and let's say they go get him in the next couple of weeks, it's still going to be a transition period for everyone. A new coach, an entirely new roster.
Right.
It's going to take a couple of weeks to gel. If they start out 11-8 like Miami did, I'm not going to sit there and panic. They're getting to the playoffs either way. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
I just won't be shocked. If they do go out and get Kevin Love and it takes a couple of weeks to gel, fine, so be it. But they're going to reel off some ridiculous win streaks if they can manage to put that team on the floor together. So
yeah, and I want that team to I want that team to also have make sure that we also have Kyrie Irving. That's not going to be a stretch, and that we also have Andrew Wiggins. If we got to move a few other pieces, all right, so be it. But I want to see Andrew Wiggins. You've hyped him up so much. No, and people are saying he looks really good. And
if you want to watch him, he'll be on in 45 minutes on NBA TV. The Cavaliers, I think, are playing the Milwaukee Bucks in the summer.
Hell yeah! Well, let's get to this then. Let's get to the article.
I only have a few more minutes, so let's get to the article.
Okay. Do you have time for the article, or you got to bounce?
Yeah, I've got time for the article. Like I said, I got probably 6-7 minutes. Time for the article.
Sports Illustrated. LeBron James says, before anyone ever cared where I would play basketball, I was a kid from Northeast Ohio. It's where I walked. It's where I ran. It's where I cried. It's where I bled. It holds a special place in my heart. People there have seen me grow up. I sometimes feel like I'm their son. Their passion can be overwhelming, but it drives me. I want to give them hope when I can. I want to inspire them when I can. My relationship with Northeast Ohio is bigger than basketball. I didn't realize that 4 years ago. I do now. Thought?
I mean, it's exactly what it says. He didn't realize it 4 years ago when he left. He was a child.
He was a child, yeah. And that's kind of that's a good way to phrase that. He really did grow up. Continuing the article, he says, remember when I was sitting up there at the Boys and Girls Club in 2010? I was thinking, this is really tough. I could feel it. I was leaving something I had spent a long time creating. If I had to do it all over again, I'd obviously do things differently. But I'd have still left. Miami for me has been almost like college for other kids. These past 4 years helped raise me into who I am. I became a better player and a better man. I learned from a franchise that had been where I wanted to go. I will always think of Miami as my second home. Without the experiences I had there, I wouldn't have been able to do what I'm doing today. Talk about how LeBron did become a better player there.
Like I said, I think he just matured. He is a better player than he was in Cleveland. I don't know by how much. You know, he was a really good player in Cleveland. Obviously, he is better than he was 4 years ago when he left. The question is how much better.
LeBron continues talking about Dwayne Wade and thanking them and thanking Mickey Arison and Pat Riley. He says he's doing the essay because he wants an opportunity to explain himself uninterrupted. And he says, I'm not having a press conference or a party. After this, it's time to get to work. And right there, Zach, you sense the self-awareness of the way he did things last time was really ridiculous, and he's not about that right now. I mean, that in itself shows huge signs of growth, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think everything about it does.
He says, when I left Cleveland, I was on a mission. I was seeking championships, and we won two. But Miami already knew that feeling. Our city hasn't had that feeling in a long, long, long time. My goal is still to win as many titles as possible, no question. But what's most important for me is bringing one trophy back to Northeast Ohio. That's pretty cool to hear, Zach.
Oh yeah.
You know, that's what you want your favorite player to be saying, especially when your favorite player is the best player in the entire league. It's rare that happens in small market cities. He continues, I've always believed that I'd return to Cleveland and finish my career there. I just didn't know when. After the season, free agency wasn't even a thought, but I have 2 boys and my wife, Savannah, is pregnant with a girl. I started thinking about what it would be like to raise my family in my hometown. I looked at other teams, but I wasn't going to leave Miami for anywhere except Cleveland. The more time passed, the more it felt right. This is what makes me happy. Zach, can you think of another situation where a player at his peak has done something similar for the hometown area that he's... I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Not really, no. Just the whole thing, how it came together over the last couple of days. Like I said, I'm still speechless over the whole thing for the most part. Just sitting there today, finding out, I get a text, going, okay, LeBron, it's over, LeBron's coming back, and I go, I call someone, and I go, oh, your shirt's done, and he goes, done deal. He goes, LeBron's coming back. I go to my friend, we're at lunch, and I go, LeBron's coming back, and he starts screaming, LeBron's coming back, going crazy. It was, like I said, it was just a scene. It feels so great to have LeBron back.
It does. He says this is what makes me happy, coming back to Cleveland. 3 more paragraphs here. I'll try to go fast. He says, to make the move, I needed the support of my wife and my mom, who can be very tough. The letter from Dan Gilbert, the booing of the Cleveland fans, the jerseys being burned, seeing all that was hard for them. My emotions were more mixed. It was easy to say, okay, I don't want to deal with these people ever again, but then you think about the other side. What if I were a kid who looked up to an athlete, and that athlete made me want to do better in my own life, and then he left? How would I react? I've met with Dan face-to-face, man-to-man. We've talked it out. Everybody makes mistakes. I've made mistakes as well. Who am I to hold a grudge? That's pretty big boy pants right there.
Everybody's made mistakes, and nobody's perfect. We can all look on situations in our life which we regret.
I have many of them, and I unfortunately...
So do I. I've got plenty of them.
I may have some more before I pass from this experience. I hope not to, but it's just part of life. People would do things differently if you had a second chance. LeBron continues here. He says, I'm not promising a championship. I know how hard that is to deliver. We're not ready right now. No way. Of course, I want to win next year, but I'm realistic. It will be a long process, much longer than it was in 2010. My patience will get tested. I know that. I'm going into a situation with a young team and a new coach. I will be the old head. But I get a thrill out of bringing a group together and helping them reach a place they didn't know they could go. I see myself as a mentor now, and I'm excited to lead some of these talented young guys. I think I can help Kyrie Irving become one of the best point guards in the league. I think I can help elevate Tristan Thompson and Dion Waiters, and I can't wait to reunite with Anderson Varejao, one of my favorite teammates. That's pretty awesome. This is the exact opposite of not 5, not 6, not 7. This is the exact opposite, and it reads and plays so much better, Zach, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a kid who's matured.
Final paragraph here, he says, but this is not about the roster or the organization. I feel my calling here goes above basketball. I have a responsibility to lead in more ways than one, and I take that very seriously. My presence can make a difference in Miami, but I think it can mean more where I'm from. I want kids in Northeast Ohio, like the hundreds of Akron third graders I sponsor through my foundation, to realize that there's no better place to grow up. Maybe some of them will come home after college and start a family or open a business. That would make me smile. Our community, which has struggled so much, needs all the talent it can get. In Northeast Ohio, nothing is given. Everything is earned. You work for what you have. I'm ready to accept that challenge. I'm coming home.
Exactly. He couldn't have handled it any better than he did.
I'm kind of blown away. It's like when you wanted that Nintendo for Christmas or something back in the day, you know, or you wanted I don't know, like when you're hoping for something really cool for, of course you wouldn't have been celebrating Christmas, Zach. But you know what I mean, for like a birthday or something, you know, and you're really
I'm
hoping.
well aware how to celebrate Christmas.
Yeah. No, but it's even better than the gift you were hoping for. It's like you got the Nintendo, but it came with your favorite game. Like the way that this was delivered, I think this SI article is amazing. I think this is handled so perfectly, and it's easy for me to say because he's coming back to my team. But I just think the tone, the tenor, the demeanor, the maturity level is through the roof, 180 degrees from the mess that it was 4 years ago. I'm beside myself happy right now, Zach. Who would have thought 1 year ago, even though we talked about it, that LeBron James and Andrew Wiggins were going to be on the Cavs by the beginning of this next season? Well, let's see.
I would have never thought that would have been possible, but
you guys got to know the history between Zach and I, because Zach has loved Andrew Wiggins, and we've all known that LeBron has been a beast, but we've, not been his biggest fan, lately. But this is pretty insane. I'm just about out of words at this point, my man. I mean, wrap.
Well, thank you. I mean, like I said, Cleveland. If you're a Cleveland fan listening to tonight's show, all I can say is it's going to be the next fun few years for the Cavs again. I mean, it will be exciting to watch Cavaliers basketball. It's not going to be that depressing crap we've watched for the last 4 years. They will actually be putting on a nice show, and having the King back in town, like I said, anybody, I saw people on Facebook last week talking smack about LeBron. All those people today were saying the exact opposite of what they said a week ago. So go ahead and bash the guy all you want, but I think 99% of Ohio is forgiving LeBron for what he did. And he should be. He came back. It's the redemption. Finished business. So, good luck to the Cavs this year. I'd love to see a Cleveland championship more than anything, sooner than later. So, bring one home.
Man, and I really want to party down there on that parade with you, buddy. That much is certain. Well, I'll tell you what.
I'm wearing my LeBron jersey right now, so I'm sitting in it right now.
Can you tweet that and tag us at American_media_?
Sure.
And
I'm about to go shower and go to dinner.
Yeah, snap a selfie or something and title it "The Unhappy Hour Becomes the Happy Hour" and tag American_media_. We want to tweet that out to everyone.
Will do.
All right, Zach, we're going to talk a lot more coming up here forward, because we're going to have a lot more moves with the remaining free agents in the weeks to come. But this is a hell of a day. Go celebrate. Have a really good time. Thank you so much for being a part of today's show, buddy.
Thanks for always. Thank you always, Ryan. I appreciate it.
It's all right. We're tongue-tied. We're in astonishment. We're in a shocked amazement, a catatonic "did that really just happen" experience, because yes, LeBron James is returning to the Cleveland Cavaliers, and it couldn't get any better than this. It really can't as a sports fan. I'm just so impressed by the article and it's handled so damn well. It's handled perfectly. And the fact that he cares enough to do that, trust me. The Cavs have a very promising young roster, and we were going to be a lot better this year with or without him. Don't get me wrong. But if the Cavs had a completely lousy team and Kyrie did not re-sign, I don't think we're having this story. So let's ease up on the sainthood here on King LeBron. But let's say it sure is nice to know that he's coming back pretty much at the prime of his career to finish what he started. That's a great feeling. Thank you so much for checking out our show, The Happy Hour, which is normally called The Unhappy Hour, but what the hell, let's change the name. It's one of those days. Please check out our homepage, thenewamericanmedia.com. Follow us on Twitter. We're at American_media_. That's American_media_. On Facebook, do a search for The New American Media with spaces in between them like the page. And subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/thenewamericanmedia. Special thanks to Brandon Odell for our first show. Special thanks to my dad for calling in on the first show. And special thanks to NBA scout Zak Baris. Follow him on Twitter at @ZBaris. I appreciate you. I love you. Go Cavs. Go Cleveland. Go Ohio. Go Midwest. Go USA. Let's get back on track. Peace.
It's the Unhappy Hour.